Hello everybody from Plant Reviews. Today is the 13th of February and the beautiful plant I am talking today is one of my Cattleyas, my favorite orchid genus. Even if this one in particular, it's a species that I have to say I am glad I bought, but it's never been really one of my particularly favorite species, even if I have to say is absolutely gorgeous anyway. But when I saw it in books and internet, it didn't appeal to me, like it didn't have any particular outstanding feature uh, that I particularly liked it more than others. However, this one it is a Cattleya species. There is a Cattleya trianae, and this one in particular is a hybrid between two varieties that are Concolor Dan Cross Bino. So I would have expected this one being a concolor, but obviously, as you can see, it's not. Concolor Cattleyas are Cattleyas that have the same shade of like pastel pink, shell pink, throughout the flower, including the lip. This one instead is as a more typical Cattleya trianae color, so this pastel pink all over, very pale pastel pink with a very very bright magenta lip and some yellow in the inner part of the lip. Even the concolor variety is yellow in the inner part of the lip, but doesn't show this magenta lip. Shows just the color like soft shell pink as the same color of the rest of the flower. And actually the flower here, honestly, to me, look a very pale pink, almost a kind of very light violet. So possibly, as a friend of mine suggested, might be that there is a blue variety of Cattleya trianae in its ancestry. However, I found this color still very appealing because the petals have showed this veining very delicate, and this very pale pink gives almost a semi-alba look to this orchid. You can see how contrasting is the background of the two upper petals and the three sepals from the lip. Cattleya trianae is a plant, is an orchid in the genus Cattleya, and it is the plant symbol, basically the chosen plant as a plant emblem, so to say, of Colombia, where this plant is endemic. Colombia is home to another extremely beautiful species of Cattleya. There is possibly my favorite Cattleya for the flowers, maybe not for the fragrance, because I don't find it particularly intense or particularly distinctive, but definitely for the shape and the beauty of the flower is definitely my favorite, and that's Cattleya varshevicii, that also produces the biggest flowers among Cattleyas, and possibly the biggest flowers in size amongst all orchids all orchid species. So if we don't consider the hybrids, Cattleya varshevicii, as far as I know, produces the largest orchid flowers of all orchids. However, the what makes Cattleya trianae, what made Cattleya trianae being chosen over varshevicii is the fact that this species is endemic to Colombia, But also, Warscewiczia is also present in Colombia. However, Cattleya warscewiczii has a specific name dedicated to a person, I think it's botanist, Warscewicz, or a orchid specialist. If I remember, it was an orchid garden, yeah, cultivated orchids, Warscewicz. And to him was dedicated this beautiful orchid, because I think was the one who bloomed Warscewiczii first, if I remember correctly. I made a video on Cattleya warscewiczii anyway. I will put a link in the description of the video. However, Cattleya trianae was chosen over Warscewiczii also because the specific name is dedicated to a botanist, a Colombian botanist, whose surname is Triana. So in English language we pronounce it as Triana, and in the Latin, translated in Latin, then was put as Trianae, so Cattleya of Triana, but should be present with an I at the end, so should be written Trianae, even if many times you find this orchid offered on the market as Cattleya trianae. However, Latin grammar apart, this is an orchid I can really highly recommend to every orchid grower, and I find it, I have to say, a lot easier to grow than Cattleya warscewiczii, especially if you don't have optimal light conditions. Cattleya warscewiczii is a plant that basically eats light like Rincolelia digbiana, needs really a bright environment, and unless you can provide a really bright environment, it's very likely to bloom. This one instead, I have to say, it's instead quite sensitive to very high light environments, and I cultivate this one in a eastern facing window in the United Kingdom. It's a northeastern facing window, so it doesn't receive much light, but high enough to bloom some of the species that don't really thrive in extremely high light environment, such as, for example, I found also Cattleya violacea doesn't really like environments with excessive lights. Cattleya trianae is, I would say, a medium-sized orchid, so it's not really huge as Cattleya warscewiczii, but definitely it's not a small Cattleya species. And first, in the first period, this species I decided to keep it in a southern-facing window because I thought, being from an environment similar to Cattleya warscewiczii, I had the same lighting requirements, and this was a very bad error because, as you can see, some of the leaves burnt. So I decided to keep it instead with in my north eastern facing window, and I have to say it continued to grow beautifully, and it bloomed last year for the first time with just one flower, and this year with these two beautiful flowers. The flower size is quite big. It's not as impressive as warscewiczii, but I would say, as you can see, it's about the size of my hand. So I would say if you open the petals, would be about 12-15 centimeters in diameter. The scent of this orchid, last year I couldn't detect any scent. This year is a little bit more perfume, but nothing really, not a perfume really you can smell throughout the room. You really need to stick your nose in, and it is a very light vanilla scent, very peculiar. I don't have any other Cattleya orchid that smells like vanilla. So as far as it is honestly delightful, it is also honestly extremely scarce, extremely low level of intensity. So this is only the second blooming, so it might be that this plant become more fragrant in the next few years. I will of course update you, but at this stage I definitely can't recommend this plant for fragrance. However, this is a species that have several different clones, different varieties. It has an incredible wide range of colors, Cattleya trianae, and this is one of the reasons because it's so popular for hybridizations. Many Cattleya hybrids have Cattleya trianae in their ancestry because the flowers, even if it doesn't produce many flowers, usually produces 2 or 3 flowers per stem, and it produces anyway 2 growths usually each year and really grows really quickly. Is the Cattleya that grows more than any other Cattleya I have. I divided this plant last year, and as you can see I have to divide it again this year because it's overriding the it's overtaking the pot I planted it. So I'm this is a very easy Cattleya to grow, and I would say if you are a first timer in growing orchids, I definitely recommend Trianae for the ease of culture. It grows perfectly indoors in a home environment, in a eastern facing windowsill. Bark is a great medium for Cattleyas in general, including this Cattleya. However, I converted this plant a few years ago in semi-hydroponics, and I have to say it enjoys it very much. The plant is pretty much great for everything you can think about. Is a medium-sized plant, so it doesn't take too much space on a windowsill. The flowers are beautiful, and most importantly, among Cattleyas usually the flowers unfortunately fade after about 2-3 weeks. This one instead, the flowers of this plant can last even 5 weeks. So it is one of the longest blooming Cattleyas, and this is the reason why one of the reasons why this plant is being chosen so much as a parent in hybridization, because as I said, the incredible number of colors available of this species, from white to semi-alba, so white on the petals and upper petals and sepals, with the color lip or the concolor. There are usually pink or lavender all over, except the yellow part in the lip, and also because the flowers are of a really exquisite shape. You can see the very firm sepals and the beautiful wide petals. Not many Cattleyas have this gorgeously and wide petals, so Cattleya trianae makes the flower appearance looking fuller, more rounder, and of course the beautiful frilled lip that makes this species so beautiful. And I have to say, this shape of the flower, this fringed long lip, is shared by many other Cattleyas in the unifoliate group, so the Cattleyas that from each pseudobulb develop only one leaves. Some other Cattleya species instead are called bifoliates, because bi means two, and they develop 2 leaves. As usual, I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope to not have forgotten anything. Just about fertilization, I fertilize it with Orchid Focus once every 2-3 weeks, and in semi-hydro I put reverse osmosis water. There is a kind of purified water, because I live in Kent in England, and the water here is pretty hard, and orchids don't really like hard water. Another option is, of course, to use rainwater, but I found reverse osmosis water a very easy way to cultivate orchids, because I can just buy it in an aquarium shop nearby, and it is not too expensive as well. As usual, I hope that you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know, and of course write it in the comment, and I will answer to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.